So why do I write? Torturing myself to put it down. Because in spite of myself, I've learned some things. Without the possibility of action, all knowledge comes to one labeled file and forget, and I neither file nor forget. Nor will certain ideas forget me. They keep filing away at my lethargy, my complacency. Why should I be the one to dream that nightmare? Why should I be dedicated and set aside? Yes, if not to at least tell a few people about it. There seems to be no escape. Here I've set out to throw my anger into the world's face, but now that I have tried to put it all down, the old fascination with playing a role returns, and I'm drawn upward again. So that even before I've finished, I've failed. Maybe my anger is too heavy. Perhaps being a talker, I've used too many words. But I've failed. The very act of trying to put it all down has confused me and negated some of the anger and some of the bitterness. So it is that now I denounce and defend, or feel prepared to defend. I condemn and affirm, say no and say yes and say no. I denounce because there is implicated and partially responsible. I have been hurt to the point of abysmal pain, hurt to the point of invisibility. And I defend because in spite of all that I love. In order to get some of it down, I have to love. I sell you no phony forgiveness. I'm a desperate man. But too much of your life will be lost, its meaning lost, unless you approach it much through love as through hate. So I approach it through division. So I denounce, and I defend, and I hate, and I love. Perhaps that makes me a little bit as human as my grandfather. Once I thought my grandfather incapable of thoughts about humanity, but I was wrong. Why should an old slave use a phrase such as, this and this, or this has made me more human, as I did in my arena speech? Hell, he never had any doubts about his humanity. That was left to his free offspring. He accepted his humanity just as he had accepted the principle. It was his, and the principles live on in all its humans in absurd diversity. So now, having tried to put it down, I have disarmed myself in the process. You won't believe in my invisibility, and you'll fail to see how any principle that applies to you should apply to me. You'll fail to see it even though death awaits for both of us if you don't. Nevertheless, the very disarmament has brought me to a decision. The hibernation is over. I must shake off the old skin and come up for breath. There's a stench in the air which from the distance underground might be the smell of either of death or of spring. I hope of spring. But don't let me trick you. There is a death in the smell of spring, and in the smell of thee is in the smell of me. And if nothing more, invisibility has taught my nose to classify the stenches of death. In going underground, I whipped it all except the mind. The mind! And the mind that conceived a plan of living must never lose sight of the chaos against which the patterns were conceived. This goes for societies as well as for individuals. Thus, having tried to give pattern to the chaos which lives within the pattern of the certainties, I must come out. I must emerge. And there's still a conflict within me. With Louis Armstrong, one half of me says, open the window and let the foul air out, while the other says, it was good green corn before the harvest. Of course Louis was kidding. He wouldn't have thrown old bad air out, because it would have broken up the music in the dance when it was the good music that came from the bell of old bad air's horn that counted. Old bad air is still around with his music and his dancing and his diversity, and I'll be up and around with mine. And as I've said before, a decision had to be made. I'm shaking off the old skin, and I'll leave it here in the hole. I'm coming out, no less invisible without it, but coming out nonetheless. And I suppose it's damn well time. Even hibernations can be overdone, come to think of it. Perhaps that's my greatest social crime. I've overstayed my hibernation, since there's a possibility that even an invisible man has a socially responsible role to play. Ah, I hear you say, so it all a build up to bore us with this buggety jive. He wanted us to listen to him rave, but only partially true. Being invisible and without substance, a disembodied voice, as it were, what else could I do? What else but try to tell you what was really happening when your eyes were looking through? And it is this which frightens me. Who knows but that, on the lower frequencies, I speak for you.